friends. Welcome to the May edition of The Shepherd's Voice. I want to welcome the host of the program, the Bishop of Trenton, Bishop David M. O'Connell. Welcome, Bishop.
Thanks, Jim. It's good to be back.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter. I missed a session along the way.
Well, we're all busy.
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy time. You know, I don't remember in all these 12 years a season that has been as busy as this one.
Really?
In terms of just a lot of, well, you know, coming out of the COVID, you're trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
And for me to get to parishes and that I haven't been able to get to for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to we're wrapping up the confirmation season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last week I had 6 out of the 7 nights I had confirmation, and a seventh on a Sunday, which I rarely have confirmation on Sundays. So I'm trying to do that.
I was reading the Monitor last evening on the porch, and there were plenty of pictures of what you've been doing the past few months.
Oh yeah.
You've been a busy guy.
I've been a busy guy.
Yeah.
That I'm happy in a way that they do cover that, because I really want the people to know that we are trying to reach out and be present to them as much as we can. And the pictures there are nice. I mean, it gives people kind of a view of what's going on, and also is good for the parishes.
Absolutely.
And they see that their parish is being highlighted.
Sure.
And recognized. So
Sure.
it's not all about me. It's about the parishes that I visit.
And some great articles as well. With the pictures. Beautiful edition this month.
Yeah, so we today, of course, as you know, is the day of prayer and fasting that the bishops called for, in light of the concern over abortion. And I certainly, of course, this morning, I don't ask the faithful to do what I don't do myself, and so I offered a rosary, and that's really what I've asked the people to do, is to maybe today to pray the rosary. To pray the rosary for renewed commitment to all life, human life from conception to natural death, and to pray for an end to this terrible scourge of abortion that we face in our country, but throughout the world. The bishops on the 10th sent out an invitation to us to invite the clergy and religious and faithful to join in this prayer campaign. And of course that, frankly, from the bishop's point of view, that's not a whole lot of time. I've noticed this more and more of late, that we don't get a lot of time to communicate to our people. And so, I had the better part of a day to get the word out to the pastors of the parishes, and then to try to post it on the Monitor and our website so that as many people as possible could see the invitation and could join us in the prayer. Today, of course, is a memorial feast of Our Lady of Fatima. And so we seek her intercession to help us with this situation that we confront, especially in our own country. We pray for our nation. We pray for the integrity of its governmental systems, its judicial systems, and for all branches of government, that they be dedicated to the common good, which certainly is life, the basic common good of all, and for the protection of the dignity of the human person from conception to natural death. Of course, the leaked document is being put front and center, and to be frank with you, that's not my intention. I'm not focused on a leaked document. It has been authenticated, but it's not the final decision of the Supreme Court. More important than this leaked document to me is the issue of life. And I think that's got to be our intention, not some document or even some decision. It's got to be that we renew our commitment to life. The Roe v. Wade decision, of course, is symptomatic of the culture of death that we've experienced in our country, especially in the last 49 years. But we have to pray for the conversion of hearts, for those who advocate abortion. And we also have to pray for the compassion and generosity of the faithful toward people who are in need at this time in their life when they find themselves pregnant and with not a whole lot of choices. we want to say to them there are choices. And the Catholic Church and our diocese offers choices and assistance and help. So that's part of our prayer. There has to be really a commitment in our country where children are welcomed and where they're cherished and they're cared for, and mothers and fathers are encouraged and strengthened, not forced to make this terrible, terrible decision, where marriage and family are recognized as the healthy foundations of a flourishing society. We need our Blessed Mother's intercession and guidance as the Church continues to walk with mothers at this time in their life, and to help them to seek out and to know that there are alternatives to abortion, and the Church will help and provide them at this time. You know, life is a beautiful gift. We have to cherish and hold it with love and civility. And so today, on this feast of Our Lady of Fatima, our hearts turn to our Blessed Mother to ask her to be with us at this time in our history, and to be with those who face the decision to abort or not to abort, to inspire them to seek life, and to hold on and cherish life, and to inspire the rest of us to embrace them and to try to lead them to the best decision in their life, which is to support life and cherish life, and to bring to life those who they carry in their wombs. And Our Lady of Fatima, pray for us, please. Pray for us at this time.
Ever been to Fatima?
I haven't been to Fatima.
No,
I've been
I
to
haven't
Lourdes,
either.
but I haven't been to... Have you?
No, I've not.
No,
I've
I haven't
not.
been to Fatima at all. I haven't done too much traveling in Portugal.
Yeah.
But, of course, heard a lot about it and read a lot
Sure.
about it in terms of...
I guess out of all of the approved apparitions of our Blessed Mother, that's probably the most prominent that has had the greatest effect, I think. And even considering, was it 40-some years ago that Holy Father Pope John Paul II they attempted assassination on him on this day, and then a year later on this day he went to Fatima and put the bullet in her crown, and a lot of beautiful
beautiful things. And, you
traditions.
know, of course, we talk about the secrets of Fatima that the Blessed Mother revealed to the children. And one of them seems to have been that attempt on the life of Pope that was foreseen. But our Blessed Mother, and, you know, for me, Jim, I have to say, you know, I mean, at 67 years of age, the Rosary has always been really one of my favorite prayers. You know, in addition to the Holy Eucharist, my favorite prayer to say daily. There are so many needs, and at times as I travel around the diocese, people will say to me, "Could you pray for my son, my daughter, my husband, my wife? Pray for this intention."
Yeah.
A lot of times in these days, it's that the children are not going to church, and could you pray that they return to their faith? And so I place all of these intentions in the hands of our Blessed Mother, you know, and as I'm fingering her precious beads, you know, faces and names and intentions come to mind as I pray. The Rosary is a powerful prayer, and I encourage its recitation by everyone who's listening and by all of the faithful. Make it a part of your life. I started praying the daily Rosary in 7th grade, and I remember at the time we had the sisters, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and how devoted they were to this prayer. And it just sank in. And I remember at that time, and of course at that time I was starting to think about maybe becoming a priest. And so this was a great prayer for me to say and to continue to say throughout the whole of my life. So please consider the Rosary and praying the Rosary. The Blessed Mother loves us so much and wants us to come to her with our needs. This to get back to the issue du jour, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of knocked the conflict in Ukraine off the front pages, you know, the abortion issue, the draft opinion in the Supreme Court in this Dobbs versus Jackson's Women Health Organization. You know, there's been a reaction that's been swift and on both sides. those who are aggressively pro-choice as well as those who are pro-life, the reaction has been. And in many instances, of course, we see recently this campaign of intimidation
Yeah.
that's being waged, and an assault on the church,
Right.
on the Catholic Church. But as our Holy Father has said time and again, this is not just a Catholic issue.
Yeah.
This is a human issue. We're talking about human life here. And it's something that all of us should rally around, not just the Catholics. Of course,
Right.
it is a priority for us, but it's an issue for the whole of society. You look at the statistics that are being presented and all the, it depends on what television station or what website you're looking at.
Right. What your media source is. Yeah.
The statistics differ. One media outlet will favor those who support abortion, and yet at the same time another media outlet will show that the numbers are different and they support those who don't stand for or don't promote abortion. So where the truth is, we can't be absolutely sure. But what we can be sure of is the truth of life. That's the truth. God gave us life. God intends us to have life and to have it to the full and to have it until he decides it's time to come home.
Right.
And that's really what we look at. And of course, this Supreme Court, this leaked memo or the decision of the Supreme Court, this is looking at it on a national basis. And what the leaked document basically says, it's that abortion is not a constitutional right. And this has been the feeling for a long time, even from some of the Supreme Court justices who have come and gone in the last 49 years, that it was wrongly decided. I'm not here to argue one way or the other, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but certainly I can sympathize with that point of view, that it was wrongly decided.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the decision very carefully, you can see that. You can see what Alito is saying in this draft document. But that this is on a national basis, and here in New Jersey, we have been confronting a pro-choice governor who has been aggressive in pursuit of his pro-choice policies for the last 4 years and counting. Mm-hmm. He's unrelenting in this, and as late as Wednesday of this week, once again, the governor came forward to renew his efforts to further expand access to abortion. Talked about making New Jersey a sanctuary state for those who seek abortion, proposing that insurance mandates eliminate out-of-pocket costs to support those who want abortions. And, of course, this was in legislation that was proposed a while ago, but knocked out of that legislation. Now he's trying to introduce it again. He wants a state law that codifies the performance of abortion and abortion procedures. And he's supported that all along. And he speaks so, the word is aggressively. He speaks so aggressively about this. So much so that in the past week, the bishops of New Jersey, the five dioceses, the bishops of the five dioceses, we proposed a statement. We presented a statement, and right now that's the best we can do, give our reaction to the governor's latest push. And I'd like to read the statement,
Please,
just in case,
because I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, it's on the New Jersey Catholic Conference website.
Okay.
It's also on the Monitor website for the Diocese of Trenton. You can access it there. We, the Catholic bishops of New Jersey, join to express our disappointment and outrage over Governor Murphy's announcement regarding proposed legislation to expand access to abortion in New Jersey, an act that by its very nature terminates human life. If enacted, this legislation would mandate health insurance coverage for abortions, codify regulations that permit non-physicians to perform abortions, and create a public fund that dedicates taxpayer money to pay for abortions. That's outrageous. Ironically, New Jersey already has some of the most permissive abortion laws in the United States and continues to provide abortion providers tens of millions of dollars in public funds to perform these services. And I put the word services in quotes. New Jersey continues to rank among the top 3 states in annual abortion procedures nationwide. For these reasons, it is incomprehensible to force health insurance providers in New Jersey to cover 100% of the cost to expand access to these abhorrent services. The proposed legislation is a direct attack on the dignity and sanctity of life and is further evidence that we have failed as a society when a mother feels her only option is to end the life of the child. For our part, the Catholic Church is committed to opposing this legislation, but more importantly, we stand ready to broaden and increase awareness about the abundant resources and programs that we offer, from pregnancy and foster care centers to clothing, food, housing services, adoption agencies, family resource centers, and national programs, such as that sponsored by the Conference of Bishops, Walking with Moms in Need. We promise to assist and stand by every mother and family facing a difficult and unplanned pregnancy. And that's signed by all of the bishops of the 5 dioceses of New Jersey. These are very difficult times.
Yeah.
This is an issue that's not going to go away easily, and we've got to stand firm and committed in our opposition to it. You know, we fault the governor. And we fault him not just because he's a Catholic in the Diocese of Trenton. We fault him because what he's embracing is the termination of life, which is a fundamental moral issue in the Catholic Church teaching, of course, but not just in the Catholic Church teaching. It's a fundamental human moral issue. And so this assault on this latest assault is really just, to me, it's just an outrageous, certainly at the very least misguided approach to the issue. So we pray as much as we can, as hard as we can, for again, this, a commitment to life in all its stages, and for an end to abortion.
Yeah, and you know, as they've been saying, overturning Roe v. Wade does not eliminate abortion, and this is an example of that. It just gives it back to the states, and this is what the state can do.
And you know, as you know, listening to some of the news broadcasts and those who have done some research in this, you know, there are a number of states that, if Roe v. Wade is overturned, are ready immediately to ban abortions. At the same time, there are also a number of states that, if it happens, are ready to codify what was in Roe v. Wade for their own state. So this is a battle, and it's going to be a continuing battle for a long time to come. And of course, with the elections coming, people are making hay of this. Of course, using this, I believe, to deflect attention from some of the other very pressing issues that are facing our country.
Right. But one thing I think that this does speak volumes to, Bishop, is the reaction of pro-abortion people, individuals, groups, who immediately went to attack the church, which means the church is the outspoken voice against abortion, or they wouldn't come near the church.
That's right, and I think that's something our voice, our strong voice, our constant voice in this issue, I think should be a source of pride to our Catholics. That we stand up for something, and we stand up for it strongly, and we are unwavering in our support for life in all its
Now, we didn't have any issues in our parishes in this time.
No. I sent a note out to the pastors to simply because the media, some Fox News and some other media outlets, were broadcasting this threat against our churches and disruption of masses and so on. But I sent a note out to all the pastors just to be alert, to alert their ushers. You know, we're not opposed to protests. People protest all kinds of things, but not on our church property, and not in our churches, and not during our holy masses and our other gatherings for prayer. It's not the time for this. And so I just wanted to caution our priests. But I got no reports of any disruption of Mass at all in the Diocese of Trenton.
right.
And I think part of the reason is because people know that New Jersey is a very permissive, pro-abortion state
Yeah,
in so many ways.
yeah.
And so they maybe didn't feel the need because they
And they
know
went to
they
the cathedrals in the major cities. And
Yeah,
things, you
that
know.
was it. In Los Angeles, there was some
Right.
protest. In New
But
York.
I think that was Los Angeles where they showed a group actually entered the church during Mass, and you have to give credit to our Catholic brothers and sisters there. They were escorting them out, and they weren't being
Rough or
rough or anything. They
yeah.
were very just encouraging them to leave. This is not the
It's
place
not
for
the
this.
time,
Yeah.
and it's true of anything. Occasionally I'll hear of some disruptions of masses for whatever reason. Oftentimes it's someone, a disturbed person
Yeah,
who might get up during mass and call out or something like that, or there's some issue with the priest or something. But it's not the place for that.
No.
There's time and a place for everything,
Right.
and Holy Mass is not the time for protest. It just
Right,
isn't. That's my position, and I'll stand with that throughout.
So again, Bishop, if people want to read the letter from the bishops, they can find it on the Monitor website.
It's on the current Monitor website for the Diocese of Trenton, and it's also on the current New Jersey NJCC.org website for the New Jersey Catholic
Very good.
Conference. And the Catholic Conference of New Jersey is kind of the group or the organization that brings all the bishops together throughout the diocese, and we discuss all the issues that we confront and face in the diocese and things that we are trying. Right now, we're trying to gather up the information for all the services provided for mothers who are pregnant and all the ways in which the church does try to help and reach out to them, so that also will be available, not just our statement against the governor's announcement, but here's what we do have,
Right.
and here's that we do offer to mothers
Good.
in need.
Very good.
Yeah, reading some articles, I read a lot, Jim, maybe too much. I try to read a lot of what's going on in the world, be aware of it. And I've read some essays of late of women who claim to have left the Catholic faith and Catholic Church because of this issue. And of course, then there's the whole laundry list of other things that have happened in the history of the church that they're putting forth as the reason, And people leave the church, and I hear this all, well, Father said this to me, and that's the reason people are leaving the church today. The reason people are leaving the church today is they don't have a supernatural faith. They don't have faith, and they lack the faith in the church and in its teachings and the presence of Christ within the church. The church has never been, a rule by opinion organization.
Right.
Never been, well, let's have a democratic vote whether we agree with this or not. And the problems that people frequently have in the church, they're not doctrinal problems. You don't hear it often, that they don't have faith in the divinity of Christ, or they don't believe in the intercessory power of the Blessed Mother and the saints. That's not what you're hearing. They want to debate the existence of the Trinity. I mean, you don't hear these kinds of things.
Right.
The things that people focus on generally are the moral teachings and the moral doctrine of the church, because it's something that they want and they don't agree with, and so therefore the church is wrong. And that's just their point of view.
It's the world. It's the allurement of the world and what the world is teaching, and that they would rather adhere to the teaching of the world than the teachings of the church in many cases.
What they want themselves.
Yes.
And that's more important than anything else. And it's a selfishness there. I get letters all the time, Father yelled at me, or Father gave a grummy sermon, or Father said something and I don't agree with it, and those things happen. And people write to me. I don't know whether they expect me to spank the priest or to go. I'm not going to do that, I'll send their letters to the priest so the priests are aware of what's being said.
Right.
But, I'm not going to remove a priest because on a given Sunday they disagree with what or how he said something. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also, we have the priests that we have. And no one's ever said that we're perfect.
Right.
But we certainly, I think, by and large, the overwhelming majority are trying to do the best they can for the people of God and for the faithful. So Anywho, that's what's on the top of the agenda these days. You know,
Yeah.
we're here in the Diocese of Trenton at the Chrism Mass. I declared the conclusion for the diocesan phase of the Synod of Bishops. You know, there are three phases, as I announced on October 17th when we began the diocesan phase. The Holy Father and the Holy See in April convened or convoked the Synod of Bishops, and rather than just a 1 year, one meeting gathering, it was stretched over to last over 3 years and to include as widespread a consultation as possible. And so we engaged that pretty well in the Diocese of Trenton, I would say. I named two people to co-chair the Synod for us. Mary Liz Ivins, who's longtime principal and president of Notre Dame High School, and wonderfully accomplished educator, and certainly a very, very devoted and faithful Catholic, and Deacon Pat Brannigan, who's the deacon at St. James Parish in Pennington, and also for many years was the executive director of the New Jersey Catholic Conference. So very competent people to lead the Synod. We had guidelines established and all kinds of topics that we provided. We did training for parishes for those who wanted to participate at the parish level. And we had maybe 62 out of the 95 parishes who had an active program for the Synod, which is very good. We had maybe 4,500 responses, individual responses from people that we are still processing and going through, because I have to boil all that down into 10 pages and send it to the Bishops' Conference, which then will conduct the next phase of the Synod before the final phase of the Synod, the third phase, which will be in Rome, and that'll be the typical gathering of bishops appointed or elected from around the world to meet with the Holy Father. You know, the topic of the Synod was kind of interesting. It was synodality.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a synodal church? And basically, synods, of course, have been in the church since the very beginning, gatherings and meetings and discussions. The Holy Father invited us all to listen, just to listen to one another. And, you know, Jim, that's a very hard thing to do,
Yeah.
especially when you hear some of the things that people say. I know it was hard for me in the sessions that I attended to listen to some of the things that were being said, and I wanted right away to say, well, that's not exactly what that means. But
Right. And
that was not the
respond.
purpose of the Synod. It was just to hear, to give people the opportunity. If you want to say to vent,
Right.
in some cases, I'm sure it was. I read in some of the media, Catholic media, so-called Catholic media, especially the ultra-right media, which is, of course, is trying to create a parallel church. That's their goal.
Yeah.
Destroy the church so they can create their own church.
Yep.
You know, they're putting forward all the issues that come forward. Well, the Holy Father said, this Synod was not intended, and I've said it many times, I repeated it, not intended to change the teaching of the church.
Right.
That wasn't its purpose.
Right.
The purpose of the Synod was to listen and to hear what's on people's minds. And some of the things that are on people's minds are not in accord with the teachings of the church. But it's important that we get that out. We have an opportunity to hear
Right.
what's being said and
Right.
what people feel and believe. And the Holy Father also said, don't use your time. This is beautiful, beautiful time. Don't use or waste your time just debating the same old issues. Now, of course, as I look through some of the reports that have come in, that's exactly what some people did. You know, they brought up women's ordination, and that's their painful issue, and so on, or issues related to the LGBTQ situation in the church, or the church isn't warm or welcoming to people of the same-sex attraction, and a number of other things that fall in line with that we've taught, birth control, or all of that. Too much emphasis on abortion,
Right.
and so on and so forth. And it's good that people say those things. It's good that people bring them out, especially if they've been a cause of hurt and pain in their lives, or maybe separation from the church. But just because they said it, and just because it's there in the report, Doesn't mean, okay, now the church is going to change and
Right.
acquiesce to that. And I hope people don't have that expectation.
Right.
The expectation I had, and the only expectation I had, was that we would learn to listen better to one another. The ultimate goal being to use what we hear and use what we learn to address the most important needs of the faithful, to evangelize. You hear that word all the time.
Mm.
To evangelize or re-evangelize the faithful, and to draw ourselves closer to our divine Lord and to the message of the church and the message
Yeah.
of the gospel.
Yeah.
So for us, the synod is concluded, but synodality isn't concluded. Hopefully that the ideas of listening and working together and speaking together in our parishes and our dioceses will continue long beyond the synod. I would be less than honest if I didn't say that I entered this at the request of the Holy Father with a little bit of fear and trembling, not knowing what to expect.
Right.
But as time went on, I was very, really amazed and gratified that people felt that they could express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Again, without judgment, but express themselves. And some people actually came back to the church as a result of this process, which was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. So, synods. How does that? How do I segue from synod to COVID? It's not an easy segue, but COVID's still raging on, and
Yeah, they
variants.
say.
Yeah, I just don't know. What they're saying is now, not as deadly. People aren't being hospitalized to the same
Right.
extent, but more contagious.
Right.
So it's easy to go around. I have a number of priests right now who've tested positive, and they're quarantining and they're keeping themselves. But the symptoms that they're describing are nothing like they were,
No, more of a cold.
like a cold, like a very, very bad cold.
Yeah,
And that's
right.
what they're saying. And these guys, many of them, I'm speaking about these guys, because they're the ones I'm in direct contact with, the
Right.
priest. But it's true of everybody that I've spoken to who has said they're positive. Bad cold, headache,
Yep.
chills, fever, feeling fatigued, feeling tired.
Yep.
But not the engagement of the lungs to the extent before that put people to the hospital. So
Right.
it's out there. And,
They
as
say it's going to be out there. It's not going
as
away.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
as they say, it ain't going away.
That's right. It's
So
just
we're-
going to adapt, and it's going to be one of the normal annual flu viruses
Yeah,
or
I
whatever
think
it
that's
is.
probably what, that doesn't mean that we want to be haphazard or careless in our approach to it. We still should use our heads. I still think again, the ultra-right will go after me, and I still think the vaccines are good things for those who can take them and need to take them. The booster, of course. I've done everything, and thanks be to God, I've been lucky. But I've been very careful also in terms of my mixing and mingling
Mm-hmm.
in a direct way.
Yeah.
Going to confirmations, which is a great thrill and privilege for me. I'm a little bit careful on those occasions.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to greet everybody personally, I just I keep a little bit of a distance there. But I'm still present, and that's
Sure.
really the important thing. So COVID's out there. Be careful. Do your best. If you have it, stay home. Get better.
It's like I was thinking about this over the weekend, Bishop. Few years ago, before COVID, if I had a bad cold, I wouldn't go to mass because I didn't want to spread my cold to other
Sure.
people. It's just a
And
normal.
that's just common sense.
It's just common sense. If you're not well, no matter what the illness is, you confine yourself to your home until you get better.
And that's true. And people who feel, I'm committing a mortal sin by not going to church when I'm sick, that's never been true.
No.
So just use your good judgment and be conscious of yourself and taking care of yourself and preventing others from coming down with the
Sure,
same thing. I think
sure.
it's just common sense.
Yeah.
This year, we talked earlier about the New Jersey Catholic Conference. We have transferred the celebration of the Feast of the Ascension from its traditional place of Thursday of the sixth week of Easter to the following Sunday, which would ordinarily have been the seventh Sunday of Easter. The U.S. Conference of Bishops has made some alterations in the holy days of obligation before. I must confess I was not happy about some of those things. I thought that the church had established holy days of obligation for a reason,
Mm.
and it sanctified other days of the week in addition to Sunday.
Yeah.
But in its wisdom, the church has made some adjustments, and we accept them and we live with them. And this is another one. The feeling was, and it was expressed in New Jersey, most dioceses in the United States have moved from what was traditionally Holy Thursday to the seventh Sunday of Easter for the celebration, only to allow for the widest number of Catholics to appreciate this aspect of the Paschal Mystery, the Ascension of the Lord, which many people were missing because they didn't go to church on that Thursday. And so a whole important element in the life of our Lord was not celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know I did. I'm not exactly sure what the other bishops did in New Jersey, but I did a survey among the pastors and priests of the diocese to see what they thought, what their feeling was. And as frequently happens in the Diocese of Trenton, half were in favor of moving it, half were against it. And so they had good reasons on both sides.
Yeah.
So I presented that to the bishops. I went into our bishops' meeting not terribly inclined to move it. Of course, I'm, old traditional guy.
Right.
And I liked Holy Thursday, celebrating the Ascension on Holy Thursday.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a hill I was willing to die on, as long as we celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we spoke, the bishops among ourselves, it seemed clear to me that the feeling of our Catholics was they wanted to celebrate it, and rather than take a chance of missing it, move it to Sunday so that we could celebrate it. So that's the rationale for it. Some will agree, some will disagree, but agree or disagree, the fact is it's going to be on the seventh Sunday of Easter. So
In the diocese, all dioceses,
all the
in
dioceses in
New
New Jersey.
How about the archdiocese,
Of what?
Philadelphia?
No, I don't. I think they still celebrate on
So
Thursday.
I'm bound by that then.
Well, if that's where you live. If you want to spend next Sunday in New Jersey,
How am I going to work around that one? Let's
I
see.
know. Well, I'm going to
Okay.
leave that one.
Okay.
That's above my pay grade.
All right.
But Holy Thursday ordinarily would have been May 26th.
Right.
If we were the old days, we would have a day off from school. then,
Sure.
the kids would be up in arms, knowing
Yeah.
that we. So what we already had it on the calendar in the diocese, in the chancery for a holiday on that day,
Okay.
on the holy day. So I just moved it, the holy day, to Sunday with all the other dioceses, and then I said, well, take Friday off instead. Work on Thursday, but take Friday.
All right. There you go. Good for you.
So, Catholic Communications Campaign is coming up on the 28th, 29th. That's an annual collection, second collection in the parishes of the dioceses of the United States. I'm not sure if people understand these a lot of these second collections that have broad topics. Retired Sisters collection or collection for Eastern Europe or whatever the collection may be. They're established by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and there are a number of them designated to be held during the year as an opportunity to support important initiatives in the church. And that's the purpose of these collections. Well, obviously, Catholic Communication is an important one. And I don't know whether you saw recently, but the main office of the Bishops' Conference in Washington have eliminated a number
The
of
Catholic News Service. I read
Catholic
that.
News Service.
Read that in the Monitor last evening.
The Catholic News Service for one, and that's been for us traditionally a source of being able to communicate
Sure.
to the faithful, what's going on beyond the Diocese of Trenton. And when I first saw that, I said, "Oh my God, it'll reduce the Monitor to 2 pages," because we are so faithful to presenting the information to the faithful, of the clergy and faithful who read the Monitor or check the websites. So it's an unfortunate thing. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's a settled matter because I see that a lot of dioceses have been reacting and sending requests to the Bishops' Conference office to reconsider. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, this collection will be held. And it is to foster Catholic News Service, not the only source of news
Right.
for the church. The bishops themselves deliver news on their websites and other Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
When we take this collection, 50% of it remains in the diocese. So we take it, and then that's used for our own diocesan communication. So it's a good thing for the
Yeah.
diocese.
Mhm.
It's not just a giveaway; it's a giveaway and a give back
Mm-hmm.
to ourselves. So that's worth supporting on that weekend, May 28th, 29th, coming up. Of course, we're in the midst of all kinds of activities in the diocese. First Holy Communions. God bless and congratulate all the young ones who are receiving their First Holy Communions throughout the diocese. Many on Mother's Day, and some this coming Sunday. We're finishing up our confirmations. We have 95 parishes in the diocese. Not all of them have confirmation every year,
Mm-hmm.
but many of them do. And so now we're at the tail end of this year's confirmation season. Also graduations,
Yeah.
high school graduations, grammar school graduate, 8th grade graduation, high school graduations, college graduations now. And so I'm scheduled to celebrate baccalaureate masses for a number of our Catholic high schools.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do them all. I'm invited to many.
Right.
Some of them occur on the same day, so you can't be in two places
Right.
at one time. And some of them are scheduled at a time when I have other things already committed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do a couple of those graduations. I always look forward to that, sending our youngsters on their way. This year, we also will commemorate, as we always do, in the diocese, the priests who are celebrating and the deacons who are celebrating and other religious who are celebrating anniversaries, special anniversaries. For the Vicar General, Monsignor Gervasio, and me, this is a special year for us since it's our 40th anniversary
Oh.
of ordination. I'm getting to be an old man, and we will celebrate our 40th anniversaries this year, and many other of our folks will be celebrating, commemorating anniversaries. And I think the Monitor does a special
Mm-hmm.
edition for that
Mm-hmm.
to commemorate our priests and their milestone anniversaries. You know, Jim, I had a beautiful mass, a mass for. We received the relics of Blessed Carlo
Yes.
Acutis,
Mm-hmm.
who was a 15-year-old boy, born in England in 1991. So in our lifetime,
Yes.
many of our lifetimes,
Mm-hmm.
who lived his life in Italy, and died in 2006. 15 years old, died of leukemia, but lived an incredibly holy life in the midst of being a normal kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so is able to share his story with the children at St. Dominic's School in Brick on April 28th. And we carried the Mass live stream. We did a little bit of a video to start the Mass so that the kids would see pictures of
Right.
Blessed Carlo riding his bicycle, dancing, working on his computer, playing PlayStation, having fun with his
Yeah.
friends, with his pets and all, just to show them that, holiness is possible
Mm-hmm.
for the young.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a
And the
plastic
contemporary young.
a
Today's
contemporary,
young. Yeah.
a contemporary of ours. So we had a beautiful, beautiful celebration of Mass. We showed a video, and the video was copyrighted, and we had to get permission to use the video. And we got permission from the mother
Oh.
of Blessed Carlo. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
The mother of a saint.
Yeah.
And, when Carlo was born, Blessed Carlo was born, his family was not really, they were Catholic, but not practicing much.
Right. Right.
For some reason, this kid just was inspired to seek holiness and
Yeah.
prayer. And as soon as he was able to go to church, and he brought his parents back. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And so I used the occasion to declare that Blessed Carlo Acutis would become the patron of all Catholic schools in the Diocese of Trenton and our young, with the young, including those who are in religious education,
Yeah.
so, who may not be in Catholic schools. But I wanted the embrace to be as extensive as possible.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great example and a great model for our young people. And so we hope to make his story known as well as possible. It's a beautiful story. And I must say, as I watched these video snapshots, they brought me to tears.
Yeah.
to see this kid
Mhm.
whose whole life, he said it himself, my life plan is to be close to Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's really, what a beautiful message it is
Beautiful.
for us all. Speaking of schools, I get a lot of questions about the curriculum in public schools,
Yep.
which is not I don't have authority over the curriculum in public schools. But again, back to the New Jersey Catholic Conference, on their website, they're posting, in response to the New Jersey core curriculum current standards for comprehensive health and physical education, uh, that require public school students to learn about a broad range of topics, including human relationships, mental health, social well being, physical fitness, sexuality, and sexual reproduction. And our parents have, I think rightly, reacted to the forcing of people at a very, very young age uh, to be taught things that really belong in the family
Yeah.
and really belong in the parents. And so there, as people are reacting, I don't know that they're aware there's an opt-out provision for this
In the public schools?
in the public schools.
Okay.
And so our New Jersey Catholic Conference website, njcc.org, has the means that
Mhm.
is necessary, the form that's used, and talks about the opt-out provision, so that it's not a done deal for everybody.
Okay.
There is an opportunity for parents who feel strongly about this to opt out of that curriculum. So parents should exercise their rights.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about rights. Well, how about the rights of parents?
Mhm.
Also, it gives us an opportunity to say, wait a minute, how about school choice?
Right.
How about let's support school choice so that parents can send their children to the schools that they want to send them to
Mhm.
and that are serving the needs that the parents feel. And of course, we believe we do that in the Catholic schools of our diocese. But that's something I think we really have really got to start focusing on.
Yeah.
This weekend, the Holy Father will canonize 10 saints. Beautiful list of saints, bringing them to the honors of the altar. There are some names that are very familiar, but as is often the case, most names we're not that familiar with.
Right.
Some lay people, some religious, some bishops, some sisters. There's a whole beautiful list. So I would encourage people to get to know these new saints. And we obviously don't have time to go through their bios at this point, but it's an important event for the church.
Yeah. I wasn't aware of that this
Yeah,
weekend.
10.
Hmm.
You can find there's a lot of nice articles in the Catholic media.
Yeah.
And again, you see why Catholic communication is so important. The crooks of the news, National Catholic Register, are two that come to mind that I look to frequently for. Vatican News, there's a website, Vatican
Yep.
News, where you find out what the Holy Father is doing.
Hmm. Catholic News Agency.
Catholic News Agency, CNA, and Catholic News Service, for as long as it continues,
Right.
and all of that. And for those who lean to the left, National Catholic Reporter occasionally has an article or two. It's not my favorite publication.
You have to be discerning.
But I read them all.
Yeah.
I read them all just to be aware of
Yeah.
what's being said, and sometimes what I need to do to defend the teaching of the church. Some of these publications.
Yeah. Because there's a spin. There's a certain spin that's put
there's
on
a spin.
things. Yeah.
There's a spin. Everybody puts a spin on it, on the news, depending
Yeah.
on their perspective. So, coming up this weekend, also National Peace Officers Memorial Day. Are you aware of that?
No.
Back in 1962, President Kennedy established a day to remember the fallen police officers
I wasn't aware of
our
that.
country,
Yeah.
and I didn't remember. I didn't know about it until a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and I frequently get some requests to
Yep.
make sure it's known. So I sent a note out to the priest asking, remember our fallen police,
Mm.
women and men, and who have protected and served us over the years.
Yeah.
On this Sunday, and I think there's a National Peace Officers Week. When I looked it up on the internet, one website said it was the 11th to the 17th,
Yeah.
and another website said it was next week. So I don't know when it is, but certainly we need to be mindful of our
Sure.
great people who are helping us.
Sure.
I'll be meeting with the principals of the Catholic schools for Mass on May 20th. We're ordaining 6 men to the diaconate in the Diocese of Trenton on the 21st. Kevin Hershenko, of course, is a transitional deacon. He'll be going on to the priesthood next year. But that Mass will be on May 21st at 10 a.m. in the Cathedral in Trenton. And there are several permanent deacons from the different parishes. Greg Jamali from St. Mary's in Middletown, Robert Golden from St. Martha's in Point Pleasant, Eugene Kotowski from St. Joan of Arc in Marlton, Joseph Fatone from the Cathedral from St. Mary of the Assumption, and Paul LaPlante from St. Gregory the Great. Congratulations to all of them and their families, and I look forward to ordaining you to the priesthood. Of course, right after that, I start jury duty.
Oh, really?
I have a week of jury duty. I hope I can
Get a quick trial.
I hope it's going to be a quick one. And the week after that, I'll give the seminarians retreat. Usually we have someone else come in to give the retreat, but I thought this year I would like to give the seminarians retreat. There's so much going on in the church, and it gives me an opportunity really to connect with our 10 seminarians and those who will be joining us in the fall. We have the Catholic Charismatic Conference at St. Mary in Middletown, from Jim Kigley's parish. That'll be June 2nd to the 4th. On the 5th, I'll be out at Colts Neck for St. Mary's Parish's 50th anniversary celebration, Pentecost Sunday. Look forward to doing that. On the 10th of June, 50th anniversary of the Cursillo movement.
All right.
And so we'll celebrate that at the Co-Cathedral at a 7 p.m. Mass on Friday, June 10th. You know, the Cursillo is designed to helping Christians live their lives and renew their vigor and their love for Jesus. On June 16th, we'll have a Mass and barbecue for vocations out at St. John the Baptist Parish in Allentown. Father Jason Parzinski, the vocation director, and his team will be leading the charge. I'll be saying the Mass for those who are present. Mass is at 5:30 p.m. Hopefully those who are interested will register. You go to the website, godiscallingyou.org, and you'll get a lot of information there about it. 5:30, June 16th. We don't have too much time here, but we're beginning the Eucharistic Revival this year on the Feast of Corpus Christi, the body and blood of Christ, and that is June the 19th. And we have a whole host of events that are going to be with us. This is a 2-year program. It's sponsored by the Conference of Bishops, but we're starting it here in the Diocese of Trenton this year. And so just stay tuned for some things. I'll say something more about it on our next broadcast. And then, of course, Elderly Grandparents' Day. We're hearing a lot about this from the Holy Father. I guess you and I are part of it. I'm not a grandparent, but I'm certainly feeling the age.
I'm there.
So the Holy Father has asked us in 2021 to remember as close as possible.
2022.
Yeah, he started it on 2021.
Okay.
And it'll be this year, 2022. He wanted it to be close to the feasts of
St. Anne and Joachim.
Joachim and Anne, the grandparents of Jesus. And also, as we commemorate the elderly on that day, that weekend, I will initiate a collection for elderly priests and retired priests, because I'm trying to build up a fund to help support them and carry them through the twilight years of their lives. Good. So this is a new collection that we're going to begin. I thought that was a good weekend to do it, because they really are spiritual fathers and grandfathers over the years.
That's right. So is it that weekend in July then?
Yeah, July 23rd and 24th.
Okay.
And I'll say more about that.
Yeah.
And we can read more about that. But that's a pretty full slate of things.
It is.
Yesterday I was saying to myself, well, what will I say tomorrow on the radio?
You're never at a loss for words,
Never
Bishop.
at a
Always have a
loss.
lot to share and teach, so we appreciate that. And we'll look forward to having you back next month.
Thanks. God bless everyone.